Good morning to all the Shipwreck pupils. It's Friday of our first week back, and I know it's a few days late, but a very warm welcome back to you all. Despite the rather dramatic news last Saturday night that England will be in lockdown from yesterday, the great news is actually that lots of things remain exactly the same here at school, but we do need to be aware of what's going on out in the wider world and do our bit to make sure that we're protecting the Shipwreck community and also our families and friends outside the school. Can I ask the Rev, as usual, to get us started in our usual fashion?
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Good morning, everyone. This coming Sunday, of course, is Remembrance Sunday, and many members of staff and pupils have worked very, very hard to produce a service as a programme which will be broadcast on Sunday morning at 10:45. Many of you and your friends are represented in the programme, and my particular thanks go to Mrs. Green, Mrs. Morgan and Mr. Curran for all that they've done to coordinate that. So I really recommend that you tune in 10:45 on Sunday. Let us pray. Dear Lord, in these strange and abnormal times, help us to do the normal things well, to complete our daily tasks, to care for one another and ourselves, and find some fun and laughter along the way. In the name of God, our Father, who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Rev. And straight over to Mr. Jones for some academic highlights.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back indeed. I hope the first week has gone well for you. I'd like to recognise and reward some academic success this morning based on the recent Progress Review 2. And for pupils in year 7 to 9, this is your first one, of course. So for the engagement with learning, the top pupils in year 7 are Zach Fisher, Matthew Perry, Indigo Doherty, Will Griffith, Ben Kellett. In year 8, well done to Ben Parrott, Elliot Jones, Seb Crean-Mills, Alex Cammy Hawkins and Jay Gruel. In year 9, well done to James Lucking, James Coe, Ashir Tufile, Crosby Burnett, Felix Collar, Rufus Goggins and Jonathan Cowell. In year 10, engagement with learning, well done to Ed Houghton, Alec Veach, Alex Tang, Monty Walker and Monty Wallace. In year 11, well done to James King, Tom Madden, James Perry, Gordon Fitzgerald and Louis Potier. And in year 12 and 13, these pupils have made the biggest improvement since Progress Review 1. So well done to Maddie Adams, Tom Carpenter, Isabel Hepburn, Angus Elliott, Sarah Stevens. And in year 13, well done to Antonia Tunnicliffe, Trixie May and Elizabeth Tang. And finally, just a note about the mocks. I hope that years 11 and 13, you found this useful this week. Please make sure you learn from this valuable experience and identify the areas that you need to work on ahead of the January mocks. But well done for your engagement this week. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. And just to reiterate that message, for year 11 and year 13s, these mocks this week are going to give you and your teachers really valuable feedback. And if you can act on that, it puts you in a strong position to make further improvement for after the new year. Now, in music, Mr. Kern reports congratulations to Noah Scotchbrook, who achieved a distinction in his grade 5 singing exam, which comprised performances of 4 demanding works from classical, jazz and traditional repertoires. His examiner praised him for a polished performance, which showed strengths in a range of different styles. So well done, Noah. And also, as you will know, there's been a full team of visiting music teachers who've been here since Monday. Please look at the timetables to make sure that you get to the correct room in good time for the start of your music lessons. Now, for a pastoral message, we go to Mr. Brown.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Just a few reminders from me and Ernie in the background. Face coverings, on the whole, most of you are doing absolutely brilliantly. I know they're a nuisance. They are now, of course, absolutely required. Every school has to wear them. We've been ahead of that. So thank you to those of you who are getting it absolutely right. And that is the vast majority of you. Just a quick reminder, to and from lessons, to all meal times, on all transport, and in lessons should staff ask you to do that. So that's face coverings. Social distancing, please remember not to mix year groups. It's easy when one year group is finishing queuing for a meal and the next one starts to arrive. You must still maintain social distancing. One-way systems, maybe not quite so straightforward, but please observe the one-way systems and expect to be picked up by staff if you're not doing that. couple of detentions were awarded yesterday, I think, for not abiding by those. So please get that right. Finally, on a routine matter, dress. I know it's incredibly cold today, so maybe today isn't the best day to remind you about dress, but I'm going to anyway. You should be wearing school uniform pretty much all around the school. The only additions to school uniform are V-necked dark jumpers and coats, overcoats. No hoodies under your jackets, please. No gilets under your jackets. Coats, vests, if you know what they are. A couple of t-shirts. I know a lot of you are wearing base layers underneath that, but please wrap up warm, but you must be looking smart. Finally, from me, just a pastoral thing. As of yesterday, millions and millions of people are in lockdown again. A lot of people are confined to their homes. They won't be going out. They won't be able to socialize. The best many people, probably the majority of people in this country, will get is to socialize with one person in a public place. Just imagine how lucky we are coming to school. You can socialize with all your friends. Let's please make the most of it. Get involved in all the activities, do it sensibly, make the most of all the sport that is on offer. We proved this term that sport is so important for your mental health, and it's a given. It's a no-brainer. So whether that's sport during the week or tomorrow morning, please engage and enjoy that. Remember that those around you might be experiencing different emotions during lockdown. You don't know what people's circumstances are. You don't know whether the person next to you in the queue or in the lesson is suffering from emotional upset. You don't know their family situation. Please be thoughtful. Please be grateful for the opportunities you have here. And above all, as ever, please be kind to each other. Thank you, Headmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. It just reminds me of a Latin phrase, which is anima sana in corpore sano. If you take the first letters of those 5 words, it spells ASICS or ASICS, and that's where the sports brand gets its name for. And those words, anima sana in corpore sano, mean a healthy mind in a healthy body. And so even 2 millennia ago, they were aware that actually physical well-being and physical health really contributes to solid and healthy mental well-being. So good luck to those who are playing football and rowing tomorrow morning. Now, as a bit of a treat, over the half-term break, while many of you were taking the opportunity to recharge your batteries, there was lots of sport going on. And for one particular team in England, there was the opportunity to do something really very special to cement their place in sporting history and to achieve something which very few teams have done before. And I'm not talking about England winning the Six Nations last weekend. The team I'm talking about are the Exeter Chiefs. And just over 2 weeks ago, they became the champions of Europe by beating Racing 92 and lifted the European Champions Cup. And then 2 Saturdays ago, they won the English Premiership title by beating Wasps. Now, what many people don't know is that they only got promoted to the Premiership 10 years ago, 2010. Their journey to greatness has just been that. It's been a journey. It hasn't been a flash in the pan. Now, one player who's been there for every step of this Exeter Chiefs journey and story is their fly half, Gareth Steenson. Now, I'm absolutely delighted because we actually have Gareth Stinson who's joined us this morning just to, I suppose, talk to us about some of the things that he's learned along the way. So, Gareth, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. High. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, I suppose you must still be slightly pinching yourself that you're a European champion, you're a Premiership champion, all in the space of 2 weeks. Have your feet touched the ground yet?
Not overly, if I'm being absolutely honest with you. You know, to achieve everything that we could achieve in 2 weeks, when we were talking about it when we came back from the lockdown, it was, guys, you can go and achieve so much in such a short space of time. You're never going to get this opportunity again. And there's a real massive buy-in from everyone right across the board that we knew we had to make a lot of sacrifices with what was going on with the lockdown, staying away from different places, staying away from family members at times. But to be sitting now on the other side of it, 2 weeks down and having achieved all these things, it's a fantastic feeling.
And you're saying about the opportunity to achieve so much in a relatively short space of time, you know, those couple of opportunities in the space of a couple of weeks. but actually that, you know, as we said, the journey has been a 10-year journey since getting promoted to the Premiership. And so it must be, I mean, with you having been there every step of the way and having seen the before, it must be an amazing sense of achievement of what's been also achieved over such a long period of time.
Yeah, no, completely, you know, and I would say it's more than 10 years. You know, even before I got here, I've been at the club for 12 years. And when I first arrived, it was a very much a set-out plan, which was just to achieve promotion. The best thing about being here at the Chiefs was we didn't turn around and say we're going to win the Premiership, win the European Cup in 2-3 years' time. It was very much let's take each step as it came and what is achievable. And when I first came, it was about getting promotion. Then it was about establishing ourselves as a top side. That took years. Then it was about winning the Premiership. Then it was about, you know, winning the Heineken Cup. But that was just the journey that's been. It sounds really simple whenever I say it out loud, but it has taken a long time to get to this point. And I'm sitting here. I'm now retired, and it took me right to my last final day to achieve all that. So it was an amazing feeling. It's an amazing journey to be part of.
And I suppose people, when you talk about that journey, people probably fall into the habit of thinking that it's just like a straight line and that it's just been progress. But I imagine over that time, there have been also lots of disappointments and a sense of failure. And we talk to pupils all the time about turning disappointment and turning failure into positives and learning from any mistakes. And I mean, have there been moments over the course of that time where you've sort of wondered whether that journey was ever going to happen or not?
Yeah, there's loads. There's probably more of those I could tell you about than you know, the positive ones. I suppose the most recent sort of ones would have been we've been quite fortunate with the group we've had the last 5 seasons to be in the Premiership final 5 years in a row. We've only won 2 of those, and the disappointments, definitely the first time we got into it in 2016, there was almost a sense of just happy to be there, and before we realised we were in a final, the game was gone and we'd lost it. And we didn't probably feel, we probably went into the next season thinking it was just going to happen again. We ended up being 10th in the league. We'd just been in the final, and next thing you know, you're staring down the barrel of a season lost. And yeah, we had some really harsh conversations with one another, and we ended up going on and winning the league that year, winning the Premiership. But if we hadn't had the experience of being in the final the year before, it probably wouldn't have been the result we were after. And you know, there was days in the Heineken Cup where we lost a couple of games in the last minute, and you know, there's so many more disappointments. I could probably sit here and I could spend all day talking to you about disappointments, but without those, I know the last 2 weeks we probably wouldn't have achieved those things, because I think the team that took the field, you know, I was speaking to guys that went and played for England last weekend, and they were saying 3 weeks ago we were just a bunch of a team that made finals and lost all the time, and now they're sitting 3 weeks down the line. They've won the Six Nations, they've won the Heineken Cup, they've won the you know, the Premiership. So yeah, it's a journey, and actually the things that when you lose, it makes you appreciate all the success all the more.
And I mean, your own personal story, which I'm aware of. I mean, the fact that you are probably the most well-known Exeter Chiefs person, having been there for so long and having contributed so much, but yet the sort of the catalyst for you ending up at Exeter Chiefs was also, I suppose, personal disappointment from where you started your rugby career.
Yeah, completely. Like you know, and I played along with you. You know, it was just at the time I got told back home I always wanted to play for Ulster and play for my country, and I never knew who Exeter Chiefs was. And I can still remember going back after winning promotion and doing a chat, a news interview, and they were asking me, "Are you still playing rugby?" "Oh, I've just been promoted to the Premiership." That's just what Exeter Chiefs was. But for me, it was the disappointment of being told my dream wasn't going to happen to play with my team growing up, and then being sat down with my parents and then basically saying, "Look, Gareth, what do you want to do? You want to go get a job, or do you want to go after this?" And I went to lower leagues in England. Very much, you know, for a little fella from Northern Ireland, it's pretty scary to go across the water. And when I did make that decision to go and do it, it was tough. It was tough on my family. And it just didn't happen. I ended up in Rotherham, up north in Yorkshire. And then I ended up down in Cornish Pirates, down in Penzance. So I went from one extreme to the other. but I always had this thought that I could achieve. But I suppose on the backbone of it all, I always had a point and always wanted to prove people wrong. And even to the last day of my career, I still wanted to prove people wrong, because I'm 36 years of age. I probably shouldn't have been running around with these guys. I had this mentality about myself that I can do it. And, you know, that journey definitely set me up the entire time, especially the disappointments I had to go through at the start of my career.
And you mentioned about running around with these guys. I mean, let's not forget that these guys are Jack Noel and Henry Slade and Stuart Hogg, and Joe and Sam Simmons, the big fella, is it Johnny Hill, who played for England last weekend. I mean, it's amazing just the group of players that have been assembled at Exeter, but yet there's a real sort of collective identity there. And one of the things that stands out for Exeter, and that I think, you know, hopefully that we are striving for here at Shipley, is just everybody working together as one team or one family, one community, and everybody shares the same values and everybody buys in to what the team or what the school wants to do.
Oh, completely. You're absolutely right. And the best thing about those guys is they're so different dynamics. They come from all over the place. You know, I don't think there's too many people actually at Chiefs who are actually from Exeter, but now they've bought into it. Like, take myself, for example. I've been here 12 years, but I consider it to be a home now. You know, the place, the city, all those sort of things. So you do get caught up with the whole community and wanting to achieve things. And we're quite lucky at Chiefs where guys are now wanting to come to Exeter Chiefs. When I first came here, people were coming to Exeter Chiefs to use it as a stepping stone to something else. Whereas now we're getting people from all over the world. We've got Australians, Tongans, everybody coming in, and they buy into what we're wanting to achieve. And you take Stuart Hogg, for instance. He's come down and he's been, you know, arguably one of the best players in the world. And he's off now playing for his country, but he's sitting going, this is the best move I've ever made. I don't think I'm ever going to leave here. And you're hearing things like that. And it's that sense of when you achieve something big together as well, like, it's a sense of we all did it as one. And I think that's a real important message, that people talk about you're only as strong as your weakest link. Well, I think, you know, what we do, especially in rugby, we're only successful because what that other guy does. And we don't like to talk about weakness at our place. It's all about strength. So, you know, we're all stronger as a unit, and that's the best way to be.
Final question, Gareth. You have been on the most remarkable journey. Our pupils are all on their own journeys. What's the key to making it an enjoyable and a satisfying journey?
I think the biggest thing you've said is enjoyment, right there. You know, you got to enjoy what you do. If you're going into school every day, or you're going into training or whatever, and you're literally just feeling low and you're just not enjoying things, you're not going to be good at it. And yes, there's going to be difficult times. Believe you me, there is more. You will come up against difficult things. But that's when you get to lean on your support group, you get to lean on your friends, you get to lean on your teammates, whatever it may be. But for me, going in and enjoying what you do and just having a real love and a passion for it. You know, I've had a passion for what I've done for years. And yes, there has been unbelievably hard times, even during lockdown, all these little bits and pieces. But you've got to lean on friends. Like when we were in lockdown and training, we had our own little training WhatsApp group where everybody posting videos and making yourself feel good. So, lean on people, but ultimately, yeah, just enjoy yourself. Find something that you enjoy doing, and just throw everything at it.
Brilliant, Gareth. Hang on there, and I'll speak to you afterwards. But thank you so much for joining us and for a really positive message to all the pupils. Now, two final announcements. Remembrance Sunday. That service is at 10:45 a.m. Lots of pupils involved in that. You can get it on the Shipley College channel, and also the doors of the virtual Viking Arms swing open this evening. We have our virtual family pub quiz with Mr. Settle again at 8 p.m. Again, that can be found on YouTube, and also that link to that and Remembrance Sunday has been sent to your parents in the weekly bulletin. We had a really strong and enjoyable first half term. We've had a really good week this week, and the aim is that we make this half term even better than the first half of term. So have a great Friday and a great weekend, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.